Hello, Reese here with Link Japan Careers, and today I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Gordon and I work with the recruiting department.
Hi, my name is Keisuke. I'm working with the life support team.
Hello, my name is Anupa. I work with Link Japan Careers in the recruiting department.
Very good, very good. Welcome, welcome one and all. Now, one of the things that we often get questions about is people sort of, I guess, with questions asking about, what's it like to be in Japan in the culture. The culture is very deep, and some of these people have these ideas that it's very rigid and there's lots of cultural faux pas. And one of the things we want to talk about today is, yes, there are some cultural faux pas, but it's not as stressful as you might think. So let's get started. Gordon, you've lived here for a while. What are some cultural faux pas you've observed in Japan?
Sure. So I would say this time of year, something that I often see, especially with spring coming and there's a lot of pollen in the air, you will notice Japanese people often don't blow their nose in public. Like you'll hear a lot of sniffling in the train or on the street. And even though you'll be handed free tissues on the street, it's very rare you'll see a Japanese person blow their nose in public. Although I have seen people who are visiting Japan do that, and it's not necessarily something that will stop traffic on the street and someone will point out, but it is something that's kind of frowned on here. It's maybe not the most polite thing you could do. That's one thing I've noticed.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And like, even just catching the train today, I heard lots of sniffling. It was like a whole chorus of sniffling. You could almost make a choir or something else. Gordon, what about some other ones? What are other ones?
Sure. Actually, something I just saw in the newspaper this morning. Oftentimes you'll get free samples of food in Japan, like if you go to visit shops. And they were talking about people walking and eating. Actually, in Japan, that's one of the things that is kind of frowned on. It's not something you see very often. Not just because of trash, just kind of not, it's not good manners in Japan to be walking down the street and eating something. So they're trying to figure a polite way to tell visitors to Japan that maybe, please enjoy that while you're here and maybe not take it out of the shop and walk down the street with it. And they're kind of having trouble, communicating that in a culturally appropriate way.
I think that's a really good one, and I mean, it's a topic for another video another time, but the food culture in Japan is very, very strong. It's very, very respectful, and we treat the food with a lot of respect, I think, right, Keisuke? Yeah. So, okay, Keisuke, you're a Japanese person. What are some cultural faux pas or maybe some little taboo moments that you've seen non-Japanese people do?
Okay, well, a common one is not taking your shoes off when inside a house.
That's true.
So here in Japan, before entering a house, we take off our shoes so that the room remain clean. If you don't do this, the room often can become dirty.
Yeah.
And if you live here, you might be asked to pay more in the cleaning fees.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah. When you move out, there is a cleaning fee. Again, something we can talk about another time. But that is a very good point. I never thought about it that way. What about other ones, Keisuke? Have you seen any others?
Sometimes I see a lot of people loudly video calling or speaking on the phone, very loudly on the train, or in a famous temple or sometimes shrine.
This is so true.
Yes, that's true. So here in Japan, we are so happy to see people excited about it, but also we try to show sympathy and consideration to others so that everyone can enjoy.
Can enjoy the experience. Okay, excellent. So I guess, do you have any advice maybe, Keisuke, for some foreign people that love Japan and they just want to experience it all, but they're a little bit nervous maybe of making some mistakes?
Japan is slowly changing, and most of the Japanese people are understanding and quite kind. So if you try to show sympathy and to be considerate to others, people will understand and help you.
Yeah, I think that's really true, and I've always sort of felt that Japanese people want to give you a helping hand. So thank you very much for that, Keisuke.
Thank you.
How about yourself, Anupa? What are some cultural faux pas you've seen here in Japan?
Okay, thank you, Reese. So maybe I can start from the basics. If you think about the food and how you eat it, generally in Japan we use chopsticks to eat food, but please don't stick the chopsticks
Yes.
into the rice
Yes.
or make cross
Cross.
knot with that.
Yes.
It's considered a little rude in Japan, and that's what I think. And number two would be escalators.
Escalators.
Yeah, you can find escalators everywhere in Japan. So, especially in Tokyo, there's a rule like left line stands and right line walks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I had been living in Osaka, so in Osaka it was like right line stands and left line walks. So it was just the opposite.
It's the opposite one.
It was a shock for me too.
That's classic.
Okay. And the other thing I have noticed is zero, garbage on the streets. So if you, whatever garbage, whatever trash you produce, you either bring it home with you or put it into a trash can. You can find trash bins in big stations or next to convenience.
Yeah.
Those are my
That's true. Those are very good ones, and that's very correct. I mean, compared to Australia, at least, there are a lot less trash cans. So it is quite common, like you said, to see people just put that rubbish in their backpack and take it home, or try and find a convenience store and dispose of it. But I would also say sometimes even convenience stores don't want you to put the rubbish in there, and you will have to take it home. But yeah, thank you, Anupa. That's a very good point. So I guess one that I've seen, I'll just talk about very quickly. When you're living in Japan, there's a rubbish system on how you dispose of rubbish. And this is a frequent complaint. It often appears in the newspapers about people that don't understand the rubbish disposal system. Every situation is different, and each area of Japan has a different way of doing it. But my advice to anyone that does live here in Japan is do become familiar with it. A lot of city halls do have that information in English, and they can provide it to you. And even if you can't get that information, just having a friend or even speaking to your neighbor, just making an effort, will really help. And then if you do make that mistake of accidentally throwing out your plastics with your PET bottles, your neighbors are not likely to bite your head off. They're going to be like, oh, okay, Reese didn't understand. Maybe I'll just talk to him, bring him some cakes. We'll have a sit down and talk about it. It has happened, true story. All right, but the point is, guys, there are some cultural things in Japan, but they're things to be seen and appreciated and find, something to find interesting. As Keisuke mentioned, Japanese people are very, very lovely, very, very understanding, and if you have that sort of sincere approach and you do make a mistake, people will educate you and they'll laugh at it with you, and it is a very wonderful place to live, I think. So thank you very much for your time. That's the video for today. Now, if you have any other questions, you can message us at linkjapancareers.net. As always, please like our video or follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and we look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.